Boom, we're up and running.
All right, I see the record in my top screen, so we're good.
And then we'll try it and then put it on the internet. But what's your last name?
Messiano.
Is that Filipino or Thai?
Oh shit, yeah, man, it's Italian.
Oh, that's cool.
My dad.
I thought you were Puerto Rican.
Nah, man. People think I was. Some people used to think I was Hawaiian too. No, I'm not. I'm just.
Oh wow.
I'm Italian German actually. I'm actually more German than I am Italian. So, but I got a last name, so kind of people assume.
That's not, I mean, I'm American, so it's always nice to meet you people. I gotta be careful with the race thing. I came back. I left Germany a couple of years ago. Everybody was still joking around. I came back and I shut down a party. I made a joke after a lot of jokes, and I melted the party. You cannot say that. I was like, "What are you?"
I believe it. I've seen you in action a few times, bro. I believe it.
It'd be one thing if it would have been a bunch of like refugees that have actually struggled in life, but this was Miami Beach, Florida.
Yeah, really.
Fancy cocktails. I was like, I think we'll all survive, people. But I'm tippy toeing everything now. It's Boblet. I'm living with him. He's the captain of the ship. We've started to call this the age of the canceling, where you can't say anything. So, which is funny because I think if you're racist or sexist, you're not going to survive very long in the Marine Corps.
No. Yeah. Well, if you can't distinguish between banter and someone's heart, how they really feel, then I don't know. Then maybe that's not the place for you because you'd be easily offended. So,
well, it is what it is. I'm not arguing. I wear masks. I wash hands.
It's not. Yeah, it's a mask. It's not political, so I put it on too.
Yeah. Are you doing the mask? I'm doing the mask.
I mean, I do the mask when I have to, but I don't walk around or I don't drive my car with a fucking mask on. I'm like, sorry, I'm not trying to offend anyone, but that's a little bit weird.
Sometimes when I'm rowing, because we're living on a boat, I don't know if you noticed, sometimes when I row into shore, I just put the mask on by myself.
How about we just have a disclaimer for this podcast and we just say, you're going to be offended by the shit that we say because, hey, let's not for nothing. I do have my fucking opinions and I'm not scared to voice it. So, God, I'm going to die in probably 25 or 30 years anyways. I got to make it happen.
No, so. I was in Key West and we were walking by this group of people and they were all having fun drinking. And I was wearing a black rain jacket. And I walked over and I wasn't wearing a mask. I go, guys, we need to wear the mask. And they all just went, whoop. Everybody started just pumping it. And this one guy, he goes, hey man, he's a little drunk. He's like, you're not wearing a mask. And I go, yeah, because I'm American. And he goes, he's drunk, right? He goes, we're American too, bro. We're American. I go, yeah, but I'm a real American. And one of our friends on the boat, because we did a cruise down there, she's like, you need to stop doing that.
No, dude, it's fucking great. Don't stop being original, bro.
Wow. There's another guy that floats around here. He's real smart, but he's so smart he doesn't get low fruit comedy. And I saw him the other day. I wasn't wearing a mask, and I go, "Hey, put your mask on." And he just went, "Oh," and he starts turning around to walk to his car. He just, I don't know. I'll stop messing with people.
Yeah.
You wrote a book.
I did.
And nobody read it.
Nobody wants to fucking read it, man. No, man. Yeah, it's something I've toiled over for a decade. Yeah.
But we talked about this. When we say people, we're talking about dumbass Marines that are actually part of this history aren't reading the book, but people that weren't there are reading it.
Yeah, that's the flip side of it, because like we talked earlier, and I think it's warranted totally that all of us kind of transition in our own time, in our own way, and some of us process later or earlier, depending on, just, I don't know, life experiences or the need for survival, Yeah. And when I wrote the book, it was my dream was that it to be a collaboration, so that it would be the most authentic version of itself, and basically validated by people that were there. Like, yeah, this is something we can rally around. This is our history. This is what we did. Because I was reading a lot of books about Iraq and Fallujah at the time, and there wasn't anything really written or even mentioned about us about 1-3 in a lot of the history books, and it just kept bothering me. Like, they're acting like we weren't even fucking there, man. We did a lot, and we sacrificed a lot. We lost a lot. I think it was political under the circumstances, and why maybe we weren't talked about as much. I have my suspicions about all that, and I have some evidence to back it up. But other than that, I was just an enlisted man, so I'm not privy to a lot of that information and what was really going on behind the scenes at the time.
It's funny because I got my degree, online degree, which is just as good as a for real college. Anybody listen out there, you motherfuckers. We didn't have a football team.
Oh, God, it's great.
When this COVID went down and everybody went to online school, I said, if you guys got questions about how to be an online student, call me, you assholes. But what was I talking about? Roman history. We did a whole module. I went to a British university when I was living in Germany. So I would take tests at the German university, but it was a British institution. And a lot of the history that they're going back through history, and Caesar's writings are great. They do a good job of expressing his thoughts, the Roman upper echelon, the elites in politics. What they've gone back through is the inscriptions and trying to put down what really happened. And I felt like they were getting more information from the centurion in a cohort of foreign cavalry, his 5 letters inscription, than they were getting through Caesar, because there was no politics in it. There was no, it was just trying to find out about him and then putting it all together. So like you said, I think now that something's happening, you're in your 40s because you're old as balls. I'm not. I'm still a young spree and horse.
Yeah.
And I'm fertile, so I can still make babies.
Hey, I can still fucking get it up, bro. All right. I don't gotta take nothing yet. I'm good.
But let's be honest. I mean, you're a one pump chump now, probably gonna go to bed.
Yeah. I'm sleeping like as soon as I'm like, eyes closed, I'm out.
Not me, because I'm younger than you. So got a lot left to give to the community in that regards.
Well, hey, look, not for nothing. I don't think the world needs any more of my children. Okay, so it's fine.
The best thing I gave to this world was my children, because I know right now they're creating craziness, because I raised them in America a little bit, and then I put them into the German system. And you want to see 2 worlds collide. Even watching my kids play with German kids was nuts, because we played Army in Texas, and then they're on the playground. So, get some mother. I'm like, don't say the F word. Don't say the F word. And the German parents are like, we can't play like this. This war is bad. I go, yeah, war is bad, but it does help stabilize OPEC and make things cheaper.
You know what I love about Germany, though? It's like they had such a fucking mental and cultural revolution after being basically so shunned and embarrassed for Nazism and whatnot. So you go over there and it's like, I don't know, in my mind, in my kind of small way of thinking, I feel like they're highly progressive, and we can learn a lot from them. I mean, we learned a lot about their cars. We learned how to make rockets. We learned all that shit from the Germans. So we might as well fucking, grasp some of that way of thinking, especially in light of, our revolutionary fucking incidences going on at present. We need to talk to people that had wars fought literally in their backyard to understand how good we really have it. And I'm just fucking kind of tired of seeing Americans act like they got it so fucking bad. I just am. Like, I can't stand it. Go around, travel the world, go to other countries, see how bad they got it. You know what I mean?
Well, that's what I do. I offer people to go live and go actually see it. And I love Germany. It was a great country. I think it's always apples and oranges. There's certain things that work in that culture that don't work in ours. but there are certain things we need to steal from them. And I actually participated. It's called the Ausbildung program. Around 16, you have a real hard decision to make. And the Germans they don't sugarcoat it. If you're not going to college, you're not going to college. You're going to go learn a trade.
Yes.
You'll get out with a 3-year program, just as good as a college and university, but you'll have a skill and a trade. The program's not perfect, but boy, you eliminated a lot of waste. And there were still issues with that. F me. Can you still see me?
Yeah.
All right. Sorry, I got this thing on sleeper. There were still issues with that didn't make it a perfect system, but no system is. And I think we need to implement it here. I think at 16, you need to make a real solid choice in your life. And if you don't think you're going to go to college, let's not waste your time and money.
Absolutely. Yeah, the whole college. Look, I've done plenty of college, and for my life personally, I didn't choose the route that it was going to like kind of punch the ticket, so to speak, in terms of, architecture or science or math or something like that. I went with history, and that's what we have such in common, because I always love all your the way you allude to Roman history and the way you like write and draw, like colonial soldiers and shit. I follow that shit for years. I think it's great, and actually you got a really nice style about your painting. It looked like adolescent watercoloring, but like all, with flashes of brilliance all over it. You know what I mean?
It's what happens when you don't do any professional training and you just go. I just go to art museums and take new ideas and go, I'm going to do that one. But it's fun too, and that's why I'm always telling Marines, go find out what you want to do and do it. But back to that education, I still think in 4 years of Marine Corps, now looking back, there was no excuse, even with 2 deployments, there was no excuse for Marines to walk out of without either a trade or a 2-year associate's degree. We had enough time. I think it would have brought down a lot of more liberal incidences and a lot more of the drinking, but forcing them in, like, part of your training as a Marine is you're getting out with an associate. The Air Force and the Navy have done way better job, and you see the success rate of those guys getting out, and Marines coming out going, I know how to blow stuff up. Yeah, dude, nobody cares. I mean, the war stories are cute, but I need you to open up this Excel spreadsheet and actually do it.
Yeah, you're talking about like MCIs and stuff too, right?
MCIs, but make them more transferable.
Yeah.
And then let's just get rid of MCIs and either make the MCIs transferable into college credits.
Yeah, how about you just have college credit? Like, not, this could go towards college. Actually make it college accredited,
Well, I'll say the biggest scam that has ever been produced is the GI Bill, because it said to these kids, join the military, you get paid for college. Some of these kids were never going to go to college. I think they've done some changes where either your spouse can use it or your kids can use it. But I know so I got kicked out of the Marines, OTH, did my 4 years, popped on cocaine. And I had, which kind of the best thing that ever happened to me, I probably would have never gone to college if I'd got out honorable. But I'm one of those guys, when you kick me in the nuts, I'm like, now I'm going to show you.
Yeah, you went and joined the French Foreign Legion. Like, tell everybody else to fuck off.
Yeah.
That shit is hard, man. No, that's why I say, like, that's one of those rare stories you don't hear very often.
It's not because everybody, there's a little bit of, first of all, I'm telling everybody, if you want to go join the French Foreign Legion, just go do it. And I because the worst case scenario, they don't select you, or you do a year and you can always leave. And another thing is, you will never understand how crazy, how hardcore, how insane the Marine Corps is till you go to another mythological unit and you realize these guys aren't as hard as they say. A lot of officers called me out when I got back going, what's the Legion like? And I said, food was great. The marches were nice. You get a little FAMAS. It's about the size of a bugle. You march through these beautiful southern French towns. There's no drill instructors. They just pull sergeants and corporals from the training regiments, and they just kind of guide you through your farm. And they try to starve you, a little bit at the farm, but if you've been in the Marines or you've been in any type of military, like me and the Brits, the British paras, the British soldiers, they tried to starve us. And we had all operated in Iraq and Afghanistan. We'd wake up in the morning, go break in the chow hall and eat bacon gravy.
Yeah.
And it got bad because the corporals were noticing we were getting little fat necks, and all the Russians were starving. And yeah, they don't have food. Why the Americans, they're fat? No, I wake up at 4 where you fuckers are sleeping. I jerk off and I break into the chow hall and eat bacon gravy because I'm from America. Asshole.
It's called John Basilone. Bro, that's the legend, man. Like, dude, you always steal. You're always just trying to get back what was stolen from you, man. Fuck that shit.
But the Brits took it one more. Like, I still had that Marine Corps discipline. Like, I would never break into the officers' mess and steal alcohol. But the British, there is a little bit of criminal thing, and I don't know if it's because they've been under a king, but they would wake up and like, all right, mate, let's go to the officers' mess. We'll get some champagne and we'll get fucking wasted. I was like, I don't. And I was kind of a pussy the first time. I didn't make the first raid, but they brought back a champagne over where there's like a little trench area. We just started getting drunk, and then anyway, that was the Legion. It was fun.
Stories for days. I can only imagine. That'd be some good content for a book, I think. Speaking of books,
we talked about this with your book. Are you going to do an audio version now?
Well, I mean, I guess it's on the table. I don't really know how to do it. Dude, I'm a total idiot when it comes to technology and shit. Like, that's why I say, like, after I wrote the book, I actually went back to college and I had to relearn the English language and shit. So I don't know what that tells you about my book, but it wasn't perfect. I made mistakes. I made a lot of mistakes along the way. But then again, you know, I realized I had to do it on my own because there was no collab. There was no collaboration. And the only reason I say that, and I think I've said that a lot on a few of the other podcasts, I mean, it is part of the book, and I don't have any animosity towards anybody for that shit. I think it's, in its own way, it was appropriate for what it needed to be. And like you said, I kind of felt like mentally and emotionally I was kicking myself in the dick every day. So I had to put on my Marine Corps uniform and say, all right, well, I'm just going to do it on my own. Fuck, take the initiative and just fall on my face or finish it, and then maybe it'll evolve into something else later, which, you know, is still my hope. I feel like just because the book is written doesn't mean it can't still evolve and be more than it is. It can be a catalyst for many things, many projects in the future, which I'm hoping that it will continue to do that, you know.
Or you know, the sequel called The Third Deployment, which is divorce.
Yeah.
I told everybody Iraq, Afghanistan, and I used to joke I've been to 2 wars. Now I say 3. And divorce is just it's insane how everything just turns. And you know, at least during the war, you knew where to go. And the divorce, just like you're alone, freaking out. You know, I went into Marine Corps mode, started packing my sea bag, looking for places to live. I just didn't know what to do. And
same here, man.
we talk about the German system and what to teach kids. I'd also start putting a 6-month course maybe in the senior year of high school called Divorce 101. 50% of you are definitely going to have it, and here's how to survive it, and go that route.
Yeah. Unfortunately, man, it's just so prevalent these days. And like I said, I'm part of that community as well. I just got divorced like a year and a half ago. Actually, what is January? So no, it's been 2 years, January. Yeah. And it wasn't easy on my daughter. Sometimes the only thing I'm grateful for is the fact that I don't have more than one kid, because at least I didn't have to affect more than one child in that collapse of a fucking marriage, you know.
That's another thing is, you know, there's plenty of tribes where people didn't stay together for 50 years. You know, there's some certain Native American tribes where people bounced around within the tribe. I'm not saying that's the thing to do. I'm also saying divorce isn't the end of the world. I come from like 3 generations of divorce. You learn to move with it. As long as you have.
Well, it definitely builds character. There's no doubt about it.
Oh, I tell you what, I can tell the kids that haven't been divorced, and it's just like a dude that didn't deploy yet. Just, I just want to find somebody that gives me flowers. And I was like, I just want to find somebody that doesn't take all my money.
Yeah, there you go. Absolutely. Yeah.
Two different ways about it. But I don't, trauma but I think now with that COVID, I know there's way more people getting divorced and there's way more suicides they're not talking about.
Absolutely. I mean, I moved across the country, but I haven't been able to see my daughter because of this COVID thing, because her mom is, I guess, what do you call that? What's that word? More susceptible because of, she has like a blood disorder. But man, yeah, it's rough. It's rough, man. People are just, my daughter's been online schooling, but there's no interaction with other kids. There's no going outside. It's a little bit, more intense because you can't even go play sports, play soccer, or whatever. It's like, man, this is having a debilitating effect on their mind, no doubt.
And like, I don't think we're going to go into a civil war, but I think COVID was the perfect thing to push this one forward, to where we're at. People just sitting on
the great reset.
The great reset.
Yep.
Yeah. I don't know. Well, the only thing in the veteran community, I'm tired of veterans jabbing at each other online in politics. I'm like, both you guys, you have to understand that when this goes down, both those parties aren't going to exist. There's way, and this is what I love about Germany. There's 5 or 6 parties. This 2-party system is probably the dumbest thing we've had. I'm excited for it to crumble.
I've been saying it ever since I was smart enough to understand what was going on. Like, why do we have, so the founding fathers did that on purpose, obviously. I don't know if I can necessarily explain it, but it makes sense that there's only 2 sides and there's never really any change. You're just shifting power. The third party would literally offset that power. And they obviously didn't write it into the Constitution, but who's to say that there can't be a 29th Amendment? What is there, 28 amendments or 27? Who's to say there can't be a 29th Amendment to amend that system so that, there can be a legitimate third party? But then I've heard people smarter than me argue why a third party wouldn't really work. But I just don't see how having a third or a fourth or a fifth party is not more democratic. How is that not?
When I lived in Europe and then I came back to the States, I realized America is not one country. Florida and Texas are completely 2 different countries. Yeah, they speak English, but they're 2 completely different countries. We are 50 nation states that are united, but we're not a country. Germany's a country. Everybody's German. They've all got square little heads. Their comedy levels.
Yeah, not much.
Poor guys. You gotta be careful with Germans. Sometimes my comedy would not click sometimes, and they would just, what are you talking about? Just see it go over.
Yeah.
But it is, and I think the states. I had a history professor one time. He said, "You guys are arguing about the dude in the White Tower, but the reality is it's your local government who's really affecting your lives."
Oh, absolutely, I agree.
Do you think there's going to be a civil war?
You're asking me that?
Yeah.
No. I try to dissect that, and I've talked to some really smart people. Like I try to be friends with people that are a lot smarter than me, always, because like I don't consider myself to be very literate at times. So I have to go back and reread things. But I know a lot about history, quite a bit for our American history, but I just don't. I think that at the end of the day, people would never have the balls to suffer like that for what they believe in. I don't think the greater good of America, okay, that 1% that's willing to fight for their country, yeah, but that's 1% less than 1% of 300 million people. The greater good of people are just so comfortable and complacent being in their world that they would never want to suffer enough to really fight for what they believe in. Let's just be fucking real. Like you watch enough TV, and like when I watch all the Rocky marathon, like I think I want to be a fighter. I think I can get in the ring and fucking knock motherfuckers out, right? That's what these guys are doing, and they just sitting at home fantasizing, like polishing their fucking guns up and like stocking ammo and shit, and they're metastasizing this fucking idea in their brain that they're actually gonna, one, be a fucking war hero, and two, they're gonna fucking change the government, make a difference. It's laughable, it's embarrassing, and I'll tell you, there are times where I could never imagine myself saying that I was ashamed to be an American, but I'm sorry, but you know, in my 40s, I've started to be a little bit more ashamed being an American, because I know that we're so much fucking better than this, and we are exceptional, but dude, we're not exceptional when we're fucking fat, lazy, you know, pushing fucking social media, fucking bullshit, and not fucking trying to, like you said, in your local community, trying to better the local community. Like, you know, you're coming from one state down to Washington, D.C. to storm the fucking Capitol and vandalize the Capitol and calling yourself
I did like that.
calling yourself a patriot, dude. It's like, it's really twisted, man. It's really twisted.
I did like that. And the only reason I like that is because people finally saw words have power, and you play stupid games, you get stupid prizes.
Well, I feel like there are times in life where a precedent has to be set, and that was an unprecedented fucking occasion that hopefully will never be forgotten.
But these guys aren't the product of 4 years. These guys are this kind of rhetoric has been floating around since I can remember as a kid, and it's just only gotten more and more extreme.
Oh, it's been floating around since the first Civil War, and before that. I mean,
but back to what you said about these people, because I call them gun boys, you know, like a fanboy gun boys. Because
yeah, the
reality is, I always tell them, guys, you got to be able to run 3 miles. You have to find a team to work with. You cannot be in a firefight alone. You're ineffective. If you're a sniper, but you have no sniper training, everybody's just going to wait and starve you out. And this is what the gun boys always kind of hate me, but I have to remind them, Sunshine, they're not going to attack you. They're going to do like we did in Fallujah. We're just going to surround you for a couple weeks, and we're going to turn the power off. We'll go in, but when you're cold, tired, and the music's been blaring, I think there was some pretty awesome warriors in Fallujah, but after weeks of just no power, you guys, I remember, because we would go in those little feints. I was 81, so I'd sit there and watch you just attack in, but pull back out. They have no idea what's going to come. And then it probably won't even be soldiers now. The drone technology is awesome.
And you know what, dude? Not for nothing. Let me give those old bastards in Fallujah some credit. They wanted to be martyrs, and yeah, the more they suffered, the sooner they wanted to become a martyr. I don't really think there's that many fucking badasses in America that are really willing to die for God, country, and apple pie. I'm sorry. I just, like, dude, unless your fucking resume, your track record shows some kind of sacrifice, self-sacrifice for the greater good over yourself, then, you know, don't come at me with that bullshit, man. You know?
What does scare me is I think people understand that, and there is going to be there's going to be a lone wolf bomber, and I'm more scared about the guy that can go with the bombs. They last longer. They're hard to track. They freak me out. That's the guy that scares me about this. They've already found a couple. I know he's floating around. That one scares the crap.
Every time somebody does that, like this guy in Nashville, Tennessee, every time somebody does that, it gives another fucking guy an idea of how they can do it better or more prolific or whatnot. And I don't think it's going to end. And I think the bomb situation is going to get worse. And sadly enough, you know what's going to happen to America? In history, we're going to look like a bunch of fucking idiots because we went 10,000 miles around the world to fight a bunch of dudes in the desert for something that might possibly not even have been related. Who knows? Like, we never know anymore with so much disinformation. But at the same time, we're not going to have to worry about fucking people flying over from Arab countries or whatever country we're at war with and blow us up. It's going to come from our own people. I mean, like, China, Russia, all of our fiercest adversaries, they already know, like, it's like the art of war, dude. All you have to do is allow us to destroy ourselves. They don't have to fucking send a bunch of shit over here to beat us. All they got to do is send disinformation and, cyber attack us and shit. And eventually they'll manipulate us so much that we'll crumble from the inside. 100%. And we won't, I think people really still think that we're going to get invaded like by the beaches of Normandy or something. You know what I mean? Like, no, that ain't going to happen, dude. No.
But I think that the military understands the next war. I think that's why there's all these cyber commands, space forces coming out. there's guys that their whole job is to sit there and figure this one out. Domestic terrorism is going to suck. I know it's going to be probably, when I'm looking at kind of comparing it to other countries, we're looking at probably 10 years of a couple of freaks going around, because it's going to be a back and forth game. One bomb's going to go off, then they're going to put more police force in, then they're going to recruit another kid. Like they did in Northern Ireland, like they did with us in Iraq, like they did with us in Afghanistan. It's gonna be 3 guys recruiting angry kids, and there's a lot of angry kids. And now with COVID, there's more angry kids, smart angry kids too that know computers. It's gonna be a little nasty. That's my prediction. I hope it doesn't happen. I hope everything goes back to rainbows and Skittles, but I'm not worried. When you coming out on our boat?
Well, dude, yo-ho, a pirate's life for me. Bro, I can't wait. I don't know. I mean, whenever you want me to, whenever you guys go on some epic adventure, I'd love to be second mate. I'll fucking swab the deck, all that shit,
I did, man. I was jamming out to Irish sea chanties and cleaning the boat, just having a blast. This is before we even left port. All the guys, hopefully 3 guys are listening. They finally buy your book, but that's the plan, is to get people to come out and do the charters. And then, I was telling you earlier, we want to start doing the coffee down to Guatemala, but the Pacific, Puerto Rico, right?
I'm pretty familiar with the Caribbean. Yes. I lived there for 7 years.
We were looking at Guatemala to go pick up wholesale coffee and then find one of those veteran companies and sell our coffee with our story. Do you know anybody in Puerto Rico that can help us?
No, not that knows anything about coffee. They don't produce coffee in Puerto Rico, so.
Well, you know what? That actually helps, because I would hate to go to Puerto Rico and find that out.
No, they don't. No. They're pretty much, the only thing they export now is fucking tourism, man.
I was gonna say staff NCOs. That's a horrible joke, but there's a lot of Puerto Ricans in the Army or the Marines.
There is, well, in the Army, not so much in the Marine Corps, but I actually Gonzo, fucking Gonzalez Malave's down there. He's a family man. He was FAllujah vet. I don't know if you remember him. We all dropped over from 3-3, so sometimes it's like hazy, but we all kind of saw each other walking by each other at one point. He got hit on November 10th when Pickering died. You familiar when Pickering was killed?
I knew Pickering from Shipguard. We got attached together in Japan.
Yeah. So when that went down, yeah, he got hit, and but he would be the only one that knows anything about coffee in Puerto Rico. As far as my knowledge, they don't produce any of that shit. No more sugar cane. It used to be some types of diagnostic technologies like Boston Components, the ones that make those crazy ass calculators and shit. Boston Instruments, whatever. They used to have a company over there, but then they all get outsourced to even cheaper places.
Well, then we need to, because that's the plan. We're going to do the fun charters, but if we can find somebody, I showed you the designs and stuff. We're getting the more boats. I think we're getting a second one soon, but we're gonna haul them out and just go sail back and forth, because it's gonna be cheap to sell this shit.
Yeah, I understand. So because Puerto Rico is a U.S. territory, maybe you guys get a better deal negotiating some businesses there like that. Yeah, I understand. Well, I mean, I know they got the rum factory over there.
Yeah, but we were looking at alcohol and tobacco, and then it's a nightmare doing the import export on that. Coffee just seemed like to be the easiest. And another thing, I think we'll do another podcast too, but we might as well talk about now, but substance abuse and PTSD and a lot of guys need to sober up now. Guys that can't.
It's really funny you say that, man, because I guess I've just been drinking to the point where I don't even know I'm drunk. And I don't know why I'm saying this on a podcast, but fucking might as well just be real with it. And so I'm starting to, I've already committed myself yesterday. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to take a fucking break, because it doesn't do anything for me. It just really doesn't do anything. It's more of just of a social thing, having something in your hand and kind of like doing this motion where you feel, all right, I'm cool. I'm with everybody else. But at the same time, like, doesn't make me better, and I need to be better. It's just fucking killing me slowly. So,
I think Vietnam veterans didn't have help, but I think they were also kind of pushed, and even World War II veterans. I think there's there's a false narrative that everybody from World War II came back and they did well.
Oh yeah.
We've already broken it down that the average combat time was like 3 months for a World War II veteran, and 365 days for Vietnam. These guys came back. The VFW at the time, which is a great organization, but the bars, and if now when you go to a VFW, it's rarely I see veterans. It's just a bunch of drunks. But the alcohol for the veteran, it's a dead end road. If you can drink, keep going. But if you're having problems, and this is where it kind of motivates us to get the sailboat going, other activities, hunting, fishing, it's not helping anything.
It's not. It's okay to like. I feel like I really believe that. I mean, certain people just can't even have a drink, but I really believe that you should be able to supplement that with a beer, like like you've said, like you're with your boys and you're having a good time. You have 1 or 2 beers, and you should be able to just stop after 1 or 2. If not, then okay, we'll come to that. But I never want to just totally give up everything, because like I really believe in moderation, and like I still enjoy wine, and I still enjoy whiskey, different types of scotch and shit, just the way it tastes, that acquired taste that I've built over the years. Just like I would never want to just totally not have a Snickers bar ever again, or some ice cream, like even though I'm sort of obsessed with wanting to have a certain physique, I guess I'm mentally weak where I just want to I still want pleasure in my life, because I'm not afraid to suffer.
If you can handle pleasure, I call them freaks. There's guys, Bob, the captain on this boat, he can, and I've seen him do it, and it's disgusting. He can have 1 thing of whiskey and just walk away for the next couple of days, weeks and months. I don't know how he does it. It's not normal, but if you can do that, then God bless you. Keep going for it. But there's enough guys out there where and I'm not, them. I'm one of them. We can't touch the stuff. It's just something happened in our DNA. And then weed too. And I've seen another couple Marines. I know there's Marines that can smoke the J and have fun, but I'm also seeing there's a couple where it is just, it's overtaking them. There's no podcasting. There's no doing anything physical out loud. They're just in a room all day now.
Yeah. Well, it does. I mean, like smoking weed all day will turn your brain to mush, because it'll just put you in a different state of mind. Like, it's good to have a joint, like make it inspire your thoughts, or maybe inspire you to even do something physical. A lot of people associate potheads with lazy guys that sit on the couch, but it depends on your personality, I guess, but it has an effect of more like the way you would snort a line of coke. For me, like I want to do something. I want to get up. I want to go for a run, even go to the gym. Like I do a lot of different things. Like that does not affect me one bit. It actually enhances. But to sit around ripping bong all day long, I've done that too. And it's maybe okay if you're being creative, like painting or writing and shit, but if you're trying to function in normal life, it's not going to help. So again, moderation in that with everything. And
I always say the rule is if you're feeling bad, something bad's probably happening. And if you're feeling bad long enough, there's something wrong. So that's why I always, if it works, it works. If you're a freak and you can puff and pull and drink and go, then God bless you. And I hope one day we can do a blood transfusion and I can have that superpower too.
Dude, I think it's because, and I'm going to give you a big compliment here. You're fucking highly intelligent. Most people that I know that are really, really smart, they end up having substance abuse problems if they do substance abuse, worse than others, because they're so fucking smart. And I'm not going to name drop, but I know a lot of guys that I respect that in my opinion are fucking geniuses. And really they should never be drinking, because it does affect their psyche, because it's almost like they're too smart for their own good. And then they start doing shit that to us, to anybody that's just not on their level, they look like kind of out of this world type. But I've come to understand that, respect that, admire that even. And just the fact that you can admit like, all right, well, I have a problem and I'm addressing it. Like, dude, that speaks volumes of your character. We're all human. We have setbacks, failures, and idiosyncrasies that make us less than we would want to be. But just staying current, cognizant of that is so important, man. And like, a credit to you, bro. A credit to you.
I appreciate that. But I just think we lost a couple of guys on the way because we were still in our 20s. We didn't know how to handle it. Even the VA didn't know how to handle us. There was an overload in the system. I went and detoxed the VA, Miami, God bless them. I told the nurses and doctors, I said, you guys, do you understand you're part of third war? And third war is when people say, oh, we're finally done with Iraq. Families that lost kids will never be. These wars don't end. Vietnam never ended. Anybody that lost a person there. And nurses and doctors and everybody part of the VA, they are fighting the war. It's almost worse because there's no glory, there's no medals. I walked in there. I was up at, anytime you detox, you got to go to the psych ward. And they're doing the best. I know they've gotten even better. People were just ripping on them, but it's like you're ripping on an organization that doesn't control how many wars they get sent from. They're just the byproduct. They're just handling the byproducts. People's like, well, how come the VA is not able to handle all these veterans? Why are the politicians keeping making more veterans? They've still got 1 million from Vietnam, and you've added 2 more wars. There's a backlog now. So I was really appreciated of them, and I really told them, and I said, for me, you guys are veterans. You're fighting the unsung war, and I think they are doing a good job, even when they not doing the best job. The fact that they're trying is just amazing. So I'm trying to get one of the VA people on the podcast, because for somebody that has to go in every day and listen to war stories for 8-10 hours and then go home, I mean, that's just as tragic. That's just another part of the war I don't think we're talking about. So,
dude, I got a guy for you. I told you I'm not going to drop his name on this podcast, but I got a guy for you. He's one of us, and he's a doctor at the VA in Miami. So
send him my way. I'd love to talk to him, because I'm getting a list going now. And then anybody listening to this, I got Corporal Robinson. He was from 81s. He's a realtor. So next week I'm going to be rocking with him. Do you remember Gunny Imar Hadzik?
Nah.
I think he came in probably after you left. He was Bosnian.
Oh, wow.
He was a kid during the Bosnian War, came and joined the Marine Corps. And I was talking to him the other night, just doing a prep before this. Insane. He was actually trying to help some of the interpreters from Afghanistan get through Germany. We've got a group now. And we were talking about this before, and I said it 2 months ago. I said, we're getting the damn band back together, whether it's coming out on boats or getting this coffee thing going.
Dude, man, let me say, I'm here. I'm here at your service, bro. Like, if there's anything I can do, I got the time. I have no problems fucking being involved with that, because I love that mentality of getting the band. It's just kind of always been the main motivation for any of the little projects that I've done with veterans. And I've done a little bit here and there over the years with some nonprofits, and mostly my thing at one point was trying to organize a bunch of people to do Spartan races, because like you said, it's not just a drug fest. We can, galvanize around this idea of personal achievement from a collective standpoint, and camaraderie and brotherhood and all those things that really, we don't miss the military. We miss the guys. We miss the camaraderie that was involved. The idea that we could accomplish a mission together, teamwork. Man, I need that in my life. Otherwise I just kind of isolate and allow my mind to just go. If I'm not doing something positive where I feel like I'm making a difference in someone else's life, I'm really not satisfied with my own. And I've kind of learned that later on. That idea of getting back something or giving some is the most reward that you need. And I feel like you're going to get that from all your toils and hardships right now. I'm trying to get this thing up and running, but I'm here to support you, man. And anything I can do, please let me know.
Come on the boat and then start recording that sexy voice of yours. I'm telling you, that's probably why some of these numb nuts are like, well, I don't like to read. I was like, well, do you listen to audiobooks? Well, yeah, I can do that. Okay.
I get called out for kind of, sometimes what I do is I lump shit together and I make off the cuff fucking opinionated remarks, which I know might not be right and they're politically incorrect and whatnot, but I do that a lot. And I'm like fucking, why do you want to fucking listen to a book? Read the book. So if I'm an entrepreneur, I'm like, yes, I want an audiobook because I want to make money and I want to get it out there. You know, part of my problem as an artist and just anything is just realizing that I have to meet the demands of what they want. It's not about what the fuck I want. If I really want to reach the most people with my book, which was my original purpose, I should include audiobook. And yeah, maybe it would be a little sexy to be my own voice on that book. I don't know how effective it would be, but never done anything like that. And I don't even really know where to start because the people that I have asked are kind of like pompous fucking authors themselves who think that they don't want to share their fucking secrets and they're not really there to help anybody. They're just out for themselves. So those little things kind of soured my opinion of advancing myself as an author. But yes, you're absolutely right. If I want the book to be better, to be
how about
to
this?
Be,
how about
I
this?
have the audiobook. You know.
How about this? We call everybody out from 1-3. When you grab the book, you don't have to read it, but do this in the back of the jacket. Write your name, write your unit, write one little war story, and then right at the end, I was there, I was near this, and then sign your name. And if you don't want to read it, cool, give it to your dad, your mom, your brother.
Exactly. Dude, that's a fucking phenomenal idea.
And I've done that with books. Do you know those handbooks? So when I'd gone to French jail and I found a Papillon book in one of the free books things, and I read the whole thing and I wrote my little story being in French jail, and then I put it away in the back. That's what they need to do.
No, but to answer your question, yes, I'm sure that probably within maybe even this year, I'll end up doing the audiobook now that you're mentioning, because you're not the first one. And like I said, I am my own worst critic, and I'm the one that gets in my way of everything. Like nobody else really affects me more than me. So I need to get over a lot of that bullshit in my head. But like I said, as an author, when I write a book, I want someone to read it. I want them to hold it in their hand and read it, or not read it, but put it on their shelf and be able to refer to it when they have not, oh, I got that shit off Kindle, or, you know, like, yeah. I mean, it is what it is. Some people don't have time to read. Some people don't like to read, but they want to know the story. And really the story is what matters most. And honoring those that made the ultimate sacrifices is and honoring our legacy and what we did is ultimately my goal. So. Do you think
we've done enough for the families of the fallen? I say
no, absolutely not. And I just made a post today on my Instagram about all the guys that died in the helicopter crash, and I think about it a lot. And you know, those guys, because they crashed and it was like pilot error and it was weather involved, and they weren't shot out of the sky by a fucking missile or shot out of the sky by a fucking high-powered machine gun or whatever. None of them got a Purple Heart. And I know that there's a stipulation to the Purple Heart, and that goes as high as Congress and shit, but I just think it's a terrible, terrible thing that, you know, all those guys suffered that whole deployment, and they don't have anything. They weren't recognized in any kind of a way. And honestly, I feel like they're definitely forgotten. I feel like, and it's not a credit to me at all, it's that book has kept their memory alive, because without it, nobody would have remembered them by now. People don't even realize it. That day alone was the single deadliest day for U.S. forces in Iraq in the entirety of those 8 years of that war. No 31 people, service member, ever died in one day in Iraq. It was actually 38, because there were seven more KIAs in country on that day, on January 26th. But, you know, it was the deadliest day of the war in Iraq, and they never even talk about it. It's never even mentioned, ever. And it, frankly, pisses me the fuck off. It really does.
It didn't hit me. I knew a couple of guys. It didn't hit me till we got back on ship, because I always tell people with technology and stuff, we lost 50 during the deployment, but there were a lot of guys wounded.
Mm-hmm.
And they left the country. So we got back on ship, and just the empty the empty coffin, not the coffins, the racks.
The rack. Yeah.
And that's where it really clicked. And you really could see, because when you see the white crosses, you know it's a lot. But when you walk through berthing area, and I know even the sailors could see there was a lot less of us that got back on that ship. Yeah, that's when I went, ooh, that was a day.
Absolutely.
Well, yeah.
And when we got back, I was on the early. I was EASing within less than 30 days of leaving. Where were we at? Camp Virginia and Kuwait. Remember that? And like all you guys got back on ship. We flew to Okinawa and then flew back to Hawaii right away. And so I saw all the guys that, lost fingers, and one guy lost an eye, and he was already on convalescent leave in the barracks and shit. I was like, fuck. And I just remember the guys that were wounded, they were all there. And, it was very surreal to, remember what happened to them early on in the battle. And then this was 3 months later, we see them, and it's like, we all just want to basically cry because they're feeling like shit because they weren't there. We're feeling like shit because of what happened to them. And all they can think about is, fuck, I wasn't there with those guys suffering all that time. Talk about selflessness. Like that's what the Marine Corps is really about. That's what brotherhood is really about. Like, these guys aren't thinking about the fact of what they lost. They're just thinking about, I wasn't there for you.
Yeah.
That's heavy, bro. It made me feel small. Like, yeah, I came back with all my arms and legs and shit, and I barely even got a scratch. I was there the whole time, and I suffered the whole time. But did I really suffer the way you did? I don't know about that.
I did not realize what it was like back home. I had a weird position where I got into pest control after the Legion, which was great. I always joked it was like Iraq, but smaller, house to house, killing things. But I worked primarily in Fort Hood, and I didn't realize what those neighborhoods were like because the whole regiment would leave. And, these were all, believe it or not, as much as military wives get trashed on, I believe there's a lot that are really good. Majority, more than majority. It only takes one sour apple. But I met these women and men. And I remember talking to this woman, talking to her, we did a termite inspection, and she just stopped. And she just stopped moving. And I was like, I thought I said something. I looked around, I turned around, and this guy was walking with dress blues on. And then he took a left and went to the house next door. They had a military ball that day.
Oh, and she thought maybe someone was going to get it.
There was a lot. There was always the thing. There was always this edge going on with these military families for years, not 1 or 2, 8 years. And this wasn't Vietnam where you did 1 year and you got out. These guys were going 3 or 4 times. And these people, this neighborhood, right now everybody's like, why is Fort Hood so crazy? Well, not only did they get out, they stayed out in that neighborhood. But that was a wild ride. I was there about 2 or 3 years before I moved to Germany. I made great money out there, but it was just stressful because you would go and a lot of these wives would I'd come in and they would just start talking, just wanted somebody to talk to. And I was never creeped on them or anything. Something they just wanted to, just a little nervous, Yeah. I know there's all the rumors and, the TV with the cheating. I never really saw that, but I saw women and men. There was always on edge, I was there during the shooting with that major.
Yeah, no shit, Nadal.
So I was in the neighborhood, and I was in the neighborhood when I say I was there, but it went down and I was with this lady and I'm doing the paperwork. She goes, oh my God. And she starts freaking out. And I got to get, first they thought there were more shooters in the neighborhood. It was a crazy day. She's panicking because her husband was in that building. And they shut down service. So I call my boss. I'm like, hey, I'm going to stay at this house for a minute. I'm going to hang out with her. Just I don't know. I was like, you want me to hang out? Can you just hang out with me? And we just sat there and we just kind of sat down and we watched. And then finally he was able to, when he got evacuated, he called her and he's like, hey, I'm still alive. And I don't know why, but as a Marine, mission accomplishment, right? So as soon as he called, he said, hey, I'm alive. I went, hey, can I just get the signature? She's like, yeah. I was like, I'm actually, you know what? Never mind. I'm sorry. Never mind. I don't know why I asked that. I'm going to go home. I don't need the signature. Don't worry about it. And, but I didn't know, you don't know how to react to that. crazy times in Texas.
I'm always very partial to Marines, but I always want to give shout out to the sacrifices that all the services made. But in this case, particularly with the Army, man, they were doing 15-month deployments, man. Those guys, I follow this one guy. He's writing a book about Cornwall Valley, Army dude, and I look at some of the pictures and shit that they went through on those what do they call them, like OPs on those hilltops out in the Cornwall Valley, Afghanistan. Like, bro, that was a hellacious fight that they were dealing with every day, getting ambushed and shot down on from the mountaintops and shit. Like, see, that wasn't my war, so I try to go and I'm envious, like I wasn't there. I'm like, fuck, man, I should have stayed in and went to Afghanistan, but we didn't really do a lot in that 06 pump when we went to Cornwall Valley, but still, nonetheless,
I think we lost 6 guys.
Guys were killed and stuff, Doc.
We lost 6 guys and we lost 20 wounded. But I'll tell you what, we were a different battalion. And when I showed up to 1-3, it was a lot of bullshit peacetime field duty barracks games.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of seniors that had gotten out before that pump, and it was just toxic as shit. And the older I get, I look back going, that was ridiculous. That didn't need to happen. I showed up to Iraq barely knowing how to use a 9-line, but I knew how to get effed with and being called a boot. And that wasn't y'all. There were some good seniors that helped us, but there was them going on the UDP and not deploying. Not all of them. It was a very small little crew, but it only takes a small crew to infect the whole unit.
Yeah.
So when we got our boots to go to Afghanistan, we played little drinking games, like getting naked and praying to the god of war. But we didn't fuck with them just to fuck with them, because in the end, you knew most of you fuckers are gonna die. You either learn how to take apart the 240 and work the 81, or you don't. And then we need to go drinking and find women because we're about to deploy. So Afghanistan for me, when I saw it, I actually didn't like it. I liked it less because you would get hit and then there'd be nothing for 30 days maybe. And it was just...
But that was also in the wintertime too, right?
It was in
that mattered. Yeah.
It was in the wintertime, but it was just... Then I realized every war is different, but war is war. And you can't really always compare it with the casualty radius, the ratio.
Yeah, that's true.
And because a lot of this, we lost guys to rollovers, simple rollovers. The mountains, that was probably the scariest time. IEDs more in Iraq. Afghanistan, the mountains will kill you.
Yes.
We got attached to 10th Mountain. I mean, there was one time right at the end of deployment, we could see through NVGs, they were moving in, but it was so bad with the snow, and I asked Staff Sergeant, like, should we start firing? Because we always fired, but it was just a point where it was more dangerous to get involved in this firefight because the blizzard was coming in. But we marked them, and then the Army Apaches took them out like 2 days later. So it's not like they got away, which is really cool. Like porn and Pornhub is cool, but watching people get destroyed and eating a really good MRE is actually pretty. I mean, that's kind of like.
So that was for me, when I see the effects of combined arms in that environment, like long range weaponry was fucking like prevalent, and like you could actually see, the destruction and what was going on. Like, when we were in Fallujah, everything was so close, you couldn't really see past the next building unless you were on a rooftop or something. And of course, a lot of air wasn't really available at that time because they were worried about a Black Hawk Down incident. So it's just a different war. But I love watching those videos of the effects of our weaponry at longer ranges and like calling for fire. That must have been amazing.
The reason I bring that up, and I definitely want to talk about it too, is there's a lot of peacetime guys that served during the Cold War and they don't feel like they're part of the club, and I hate that. There is no difference because, and I always think, I'll be honest, I think peacetime is harder because you don't get to ever play in the game, and you have to keep that tempo up. You have to keep it because you are training NCOs that might train other privates you'll never see, and if you don't keep that family
lineage,
I saw it in the Legion. I walked into a Legion where they didn't keep it, and I don't know if it was ever good. I don't think it was, but I've seen military organizations where it was all uniforms, pomp, and march. But if you don't keep that level high, I honestly think our success is because the men in the '80s, in the '90s, that kept it going.
Dude, that's a great point. If I could just follow up on that, I know a lot of guys, especially now, that are getting out in the last 5-6 years, that feel like they missed their opportunity, but they were at that high tempo for those 4-6 years or whatever, and they really, they really have this hard time with themselves, feeling like they didn't contribute anything, that they somehow had something to do with them, why they didn't go. And it's hard to let go, because a lot of us, not for nothing, a lot of us felt that way before I went to Fallujah. I was already off my second pump. I got dropped to 1-3, was going on my third, and they didn't tell us we were going to Iraq. They're just like, you're getting back on the meal. It was just a big fucking facade until we were actually there in the city getting shot at. Like, our eyes are like this big, like, holy shit, we're here. What the fuck? Are we ready? Like, we've been talking shit about this for 3 years now. Are we fucking ready to? And yo, man, it was on. Like, it was on. I know
I talk shit about the toxic unit, but I believe anybody, one of the things is when I don't like the Poe Grunt thing, because I saw our H&S perform just as well as infantry, and I saw the Cook platoon get turned into riflemen overnight and not miss a beat. So I'll joke around, I'll click like on the memes, but I think everybody's got a job. The Air Wing has proved it time and time again. Anytime they've been in a situation where they got to grunt up, it's never been an issue. And then I think guys that are there right now waiting for the war to come just survive, because training's just as dangerous too. The tempo is die easy, you just do that.
Yeah, like you said, like, passing down that knowledge is your essence for living in a peacetime environment. Like, if you think that you're not contributing anything, that's where those guys are wrong. They're missing it. And I think, yes, someone not in our shoes that didn't experience maybe what we did, it's easy for you to say that, but dude, you can't it's so profound what you said about passing down that knowledge. Like, my seniors, in my opinion, and I'll fucking say it for any of them that are listening, 90% of my seniors were fucking shitbag, dirtbag, scumbags, okay? Didn't teach me fucking dick. All they wanted to do was slam my dick in the dirt and haze us. But there was 10% that fucking really made a difference. And, me, I knew when I was in that position, like, my goal isn't to haze you, dude. Like, what is that going to prove? Like, what is that going to teach you? Yeah, we're all going to suffer anyway. What the fuck? You made it this far. You're a Marine. You deserve the respect of that. I mean, I don't know. That's kind of how I always felt in my boots. Maybe there's boots that I treated them badly at one point, and I'm sorry if I did, but I don't think I did, because I think I was pretty fair, because I knew I was that guy one time too, and I didn't want to be talked like that or treated that way or humiliated like that with people that I'm supposed to give my life for. You know what I'm saying? Like, how does that build brotherhood when you don't bring them in right away? You just want to stomp their dick. Like, I get in the masculine alpha world, it kind of serves its purpose. It's kind of that Darwinian mindset, which part of me does agree with, but at the same time, it's like, bring them in, give them a chance, and then if they're not up to par, or they don't want to assimilate, that's a different story. But, I'm not helping them I'm not earning their trust by treating them like that right off the bat. You know what I mean?
Some of the most badass NCOs and officers were the ones that didn't have to yell. They just respected the shit out. They could just go up to me like, "Carp, come on, man." I mean, just those words just would destroy me.
Yeah.
We had Major Thompson from First Force, I think it was, and I'd fallen out. A couple of us had been partying. We'd fallen out of like a 5-mile or 10-mile hike, and he made us sign acts of cowardice.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, I never fell out of a hike again.
Yeah, man. But I think that's the great thing about being in the military in general, specifically in the infantry, is that you are challenged on that physical level every day, and you are worried about what the guy to the left and right is going to think about you, because your reputation depends on it. Like, how are you going to be effective if you do have to go to war? People think you're a shitbag and you can't pack the gear. You know what I mean? So I firmly believe in negative reinforcement. To follow up on your point, absolutely. Then again, like you said, negative reinforcement is good, but you can't everything kind of in moderation. You know, you have to be able to inspire that through your negative reinforcement instead of destroy my soul. You know what I mean? But then again, certain personalities are more or less susceptible to that type of training. You know.
You know, I had the opportunity to work for a great company. I got put in kind of like a position where I had 30 drivers I was responsible for in the trucking industry, and I had like a team of 4 I had to work with, and I just had never been the most people I was in charge of in the Marines, maybe 2, 3, maybe 4. So when I got up to that level, I remembered I just cherry picked from everybody I'd remembered. But the most thing I used was remembering all the people I didn't want to be like, and you know, because it's easy to follow the guys that do good, but you got to remember, what the shitheads did, and don't do that. And I think remembering that experience of the shitheads has made me, you know, I'm always learning. I still make mistakes, but that you need shitheads. You know, every apple's got to have something. You know, every tree's got to have an apple full of assholeness. Not even assholes. I can work with assholes, but I'm talking about catty, just fuckery.
Yeah.
That second bell means I got to get ready for work because I also have a job. But this is.
I think it's great that you got bells to fucking find your.
Dude, let me
day.
show you real quick. Oh shit! Sorry. That's the captain.
What's up, Captain?
How you doing, man?
That's our armory.
That's amazing, dude.
That's the library.
Well, you got some good books in there. Show me your favorite book in there.
You know what? I've been reading the crap out of these.
Oh, no shit, huh?
They're just, well, they break out military life. It's
fiction though, right?
It's fiction, but the guy was an officer and he kind of goes through the politics of it. And sometimes, like in that book, you'll have the mission will only be like 2 chapters, but it'll be like 9 or 10 chapters of just the crap you got to go to get the operation set up.
All right, look, I'm gonna double down on that. Look what I'm reading. Matterhorn by Carl Marlantes.
That's that Vietnam book, right?
It's a fiction novel, dude. Look how thick that shit is, bro. But 600 pages.
It's Vietnam, right?
Yeah, Vietnam. But he was a Marine. Carl Marlantes was a Marine. He won the Navy Cross. He's basically the Marine version of Tim O'Brien, if you've ever heard of him.
Yeah.
He wrote The Things We Carried, which is a great fucking book too, by the way.
Well, that's what I said. And all the guys, you know, you should be an inspiration to everybody should try to write, but definitely support, you know, it's artists always support artists. Marines need to start supporting local Marines any way they can.
Yeah, another reason I got into the whole writing is that I do encourage veterans to write their story, tell their story, make it a personal issue, and follow through with it. Like I said, most people don't do it, but I do have some writer friends that are fucking hammering shit out every day, and you know, got a lot of good positive networks going and projects going. Hopefully, I don't want to jinx it, but hopefully next summer I'll be going to Europe with some other veteran poets, and it's called Stand to Change the Narrative. And we're going to go to different, I know you're going to love this because you've been there. We're going to go to different fucking World War I and World War II battle sites in France, Belgium, and even Germany. And we're going to write and recite poetry in those places, and we're going to film it, document it. It's going to be awesome if it happens, but hopefully it will.
It will happen. The hostels is you just hang out in the hostels, or you can go camp those grounds. I honestly, Luxembourg's probably out of everywhere I was down there, Luxembourg had the best battlefields. Germany doesn't have a lot of battlefields because by the time the armor is pushing through, it's just a couple of like children fighting. But your real good battles are definitely Luxembourg, Belgium, France.
Belgium, yeah, for sure. And well, you hit like Bellawood and all that. I know you got to go now. We can keep talking.
No, just the veterans just don't sell out and stay true to your form. And that's why I always use Axe Hair 3-in-1 clean all over. helps me, supports people, and anyway, just don't ever
You're-
sell out.
You
I
are a
don't
fucker.
sell out because I keep it clean with Ajax 4-in-1 conditioning.
Bro, man, I'm excited for future endeavors, man. Let's do this.
Keep calling me. You're alone, and this guy, there's days where he's down and I'm down, and I'm like, man, is this happening? And I know it sucks because you're alone and you're having those days by yourself. So call me. We can do this. We don't always have to podcast it either.
Hey.
Anybody else listening, give me a ring. It doesn't always have to be a podcast, but it helps have a network. Cool.
It does, man. I will absolutely. And congratulations on everything you guys are doing. I support you 100%. And stay true, like you said, brother. And we'll talk again.
Hey, I got to show you something real quick. It's my old French Foreign Legion beret.
I love your hats, man. I love all the hats and the pipes, dude. You got a corncob pipe too?
Yeah, well, I fucking broke it on a little bit of a storm and I sat on it.
All right, well, we're going to smoke weed out of one of those things.
You can. I don't do the weed. It freaks me out. But I'll hang out and what I like to do is when guys get high, I get them naked. No, I'm joking.
We could put some fucking strawberry flavored tobacco in there for you.
I'll do the tobacco.
All right, man.
I gotta go. Simplify. We'll keep doing this though. I'll hit you up soon. Okay.
All right, brother.
All
Have
right.
a good one.
Hey.
Later.